go back and I try to remember, is anyone in my life or in school ever prompt the self-care thinking? I cannot really recall that. So that's why I think that your concept of how you also apply and put all the super scientific knowledge into a so heartwarm self-care area is magic. It's really this is the thing that we have traveling this path ourselves. I rehabilitated myself. You did the same with you. Yoga has been helping us and still do. And how you manage to deliver this and inspire all the time new people. I mean, I always hear people say that's the workshop with Kelly is where I started to take care of myself. And that's, I mean, I just, it's amazing.
It's an interesting thing to me, Gracie, and I, persistently am trying to, kind of find my own voice in this and what, kind of contribution that I might be able to make to it. And I was 55 years old before I even really started to take care of myself in a serious way. A big piece of that was that David Sloan Wilson question: to what extent do you understand your own discipline through the lens of evolutionary science? I read some evolution science and I still struggled to connect the dots. but when I got that piece, that's when it clicked together. And, you've said before that, sometimes people that you've talked to, lots of people who came to a workshop with me, and you've said, it's like magic. And I would say it is magic, but it's magic of the completely natural sort. And it comes directly out of that question that David Sloan Wilson asked me, which is, I'll butcher the pronunciation, but I think it's Dobzhansky who said, nothing in biology makes sense except in light of evolution. And the question David was asking me, and it's the one that I started to take seriously, that day on the lake in Sweden when I, discovered self-care. What if it's true that nothing in psychology makes sense except in light of evolutionary theory? And that magic that you were talking about, and I think it is something that I understand how to bring it to people, is that part of who we are and what we are is that we need each other. I mean, we need to connect to one another. And it's part of it's baked into who we are. We won on the savannah. I'm convinced that David is correct, that the crown jewel in human evolution is our capacity for cooperation. And cooperation means, I think at the deepest level, it seems like it means to me in terms of psychology, it means, I look into your eyes and you look into mine, and I get that you have skin in the game. What happens to you matters to me. And it seems to me that's at the heart of the deepest sort of cooperation, is how it goes for you is how it goes for me. The way that works reflexively, I think, is that, when I start treating how it goes for me as important, that's also how it goes for you.
Well, that's exactly what I mean with the magic, because you are talking now about a very soft, heart-loving area, and what ACT managed to do is to go into there and help us. You said the magic word, of course, to how can we get flexible in order to get the things, this connection, to resolve conflicts, because we are going to have conflicts. All the animals have conflicts. I mean, conflict is there and it's part of life too. And how can we get more togetherness in ACT managed, or RFT, or all the research done in the 80s, 90s, managed to explain how can we prompt and activate and effectivize all these processes so we get there with ourselves and others. And going back to all my interest in the medical areas is because I thought, how can we translate all these principles and this thinking into our field that is so somehow mechanistic? Is like Lego. We put things like, if it were Lego, our mind likes that, right? We construct things like that, like this, body and mind, medicine, psychology, and so it's easy to put things in boxes, but it doesn't work. The reality is not that. And that's exactly what flexibility and ACT help us to see, that things are not in boxes, and also how to change processes that are not functioning well. And translate that in terms that we understand in all the professions.